Today I'm going to talk about the movie The Giver, released in 2014. The movie begins in a strange, isolated community, shown almost entirely in black and white. This is not a coincidence. It represents the fact that the people who live there cannot see color, and we later understand this is symbolic of how emotionless and controlled their lives are. This community lives under a philosophy called sameness. Long ago, the elders who rule the community decided that pain, war, poverty, and suffering could be eliminated if people also gave up strong emotions, memory of the past, individual choice, and even the ability to see color. Everything is designed to be safe, orderly, and predictable. Some of the rules of this society are: every family unit consists of exactly one mother, one father, and two children, one boy and one girl who are not biologically related but assigned by the elders. Every morning, citizens receive an injection that suppresses strong emotions, including sexual attraction and deep feelings. Everyone must speak with precision, meaning they cannot use exaggerated words like "I love you." Instead, they use neutral expressions. Surveillance drones patrol the skies to make sure the rules are being followed. We are introduced to three teenage friends: Jonas, our protagonist; Fiona, a kind girl Jonas has feelings for; and Asher, Jonas's energetic best friend. They live an ordinary daily life, following the rules, until the day of the ceremony of growth, where each of them will be assigned their future profession by the chief elder. This is a big, formal event where the whole community gathers as the chief elder announces everyone's future job. Fiona is assigned to be a nurturer, someone who takes care of newborn babies. Asher is assigned to be a drone pilot, in charge of the community's surveillance drones. But when it's Jonas's turn, something strange happens. The chief elder skips his name completely and moves on to the next person, leaving Jonas confused and embarrassed in front of everyone. At the very end of the ceremony, the chief elder finally calls Jonas forward and explains that he has not been forgotten. He has been chosen for the rarest and most important role in the community, the receiver of memory. She explains that only one person can hold this position, and that person must carry all of humanity's memories, good and bad, so that the elders can use that wisdom when making decisions, while the rest of the community lives free of pain. Jonas and the audience don't yet understand what this really means. The giver explains that his job is to transfer all of his memories into Jonas's mind, one by one, through physical touch. Jonas has to lie down and let the giver place his hands on him. The giver warns Jonas that this process will be intense, and that once he begins receiving memories, he can never go back to being like everyone else the first memories. Jonas receives a beautiful ones. He experiences snow for the first time, feels a sled flying down a snowy hill, and sees color, red in particular, standing out vividly in his black and white world. Jonas is amazed and excited. He starts noticing red appearing in ordinary objects back in the community, like Fiona's hair and an apple, even though nobody else can see it. He also receives memories of a joyful family celebration, dancing and sunlight, things the community has never experienced. As the training continues, the giver begins transmitting harder memories: war, violence, starvation, and death. In one particularly intense scene, Jonas experiences the horror of a battlefield, soldiers dying around him, and wakes up shaken and traumatized. Jonas asks the giver why anyone would want to keep these terrible memories at all. The giver explains that even painful memories carry wisdom and truth, and that without them, people cannot make informed decisions. That's exactly why the elders rely on the receiver, instead of experiencing this pain themselves. Despite the horror, Jonas also receives memories of deep love, of a mother holding her child, of real family warmth, something completely absent from his sterile, precise meanwhile. We follow a side plot. Jonas's father works as a nurturer, caring for newborn babies before they're placed with family units. He's currently caring for a set of twin baby boys, but the community only keeps one twin. The other, being extra, must be released. Jonas's father is caring for the smaller, weaker twin, named Gabriel, who is underweight and at risk of being released early if he doesn't grow stronger. Because Gabriel cries a lot at night, Jonas's family is allowed to keep him at home temporarily, and Jonas grows attached to him, singing to him and calming him, something he learned from the loving memories the giver gave him. Family unit in the community. This is one of the biggest twists of the film. Jonas asks the giver to show him a memory of his father performing a release ceremony, believing it's something peaceful, like sending a person to a new town called Elsewhere. Instead, the giver shows Jonas a recording of Jonas's father in the nurturing center, giving a lethal injection to the smaller of the twin babies, calmly following procedure, smiling, with no idea he is actually killing the child. The baby's body is then dropped down a chute like garbage. Jonas is horrified. He realizes that release is not a peaceful goodbye, it's euthanasia used to eliminate the elderly, sick infants and rule breakers, and the community has hidden this truth from everyone through comforting language. This scene fundamentally changes Jonas. From this point, he starts to see the community not as a safe paradise, but as a cruel, controlling lie. The giver then reveals a painful secret from his own past. He had a previous trainee, a girl named Rosemary, who was actually his own daughter. Rosemary began receiving memories, just like Jonas, but she couldn't handle the weight of the painful ones. Unable to bear the suffering, she asked the chief elder to be released. But unlike a baby, when an adult receiver is released, all the memories she had already absorbed are released back into the community all at once. This caused chaos for a short time. Ordinary citizens suddenly felt pain, loss, and grief they had never experienced before the giver managed to help contain it. Rosemary's death still haunts the giver, and it's part of why the elders are cautious and suspicious about this whole program now that Jonas understands the truth. He begins secretly refusing to take his daily injection, hiding the pills instead of using them. This allows him to keep feeling real emotions, and it's implied he starts to develop real romantic feelings for Fiona, which leads to an emotional, tender moment between them, very different from the precise, emotionless interactions everyone else has. Jonas also stops giving Gabriel the injection, hoping to help him grow and avoid being released. At the same time, Asher, still unaware of what Jonas knows, continues his training as a drone pilot and is later ordered to help track Jonas down when the elders start noticing his strange behavior. The chief elder, played by Meryl Streep, starts to suspect that Jonas is becoming unstable, similar to what happened with Rosemary. She meets with the giver and expresses concern that giving Jonas full access to memories was a mistake, hinting that she may take drastic action if Jonas continues breaking the rules. The giver, however, begins to secretly agree with Jonas. He starts to believe that the community's forced peace, built on lies and the erasure of memory, isn't worth the cost. Tension reaches its peak when Jonas learns that baby Gabriel, who still isn't growing properly, has been scheduled for release very soon. Jonas realizes he can't let this happen. Gabriel would be killed just like the other twin. Jonas and the giver come up with a plan. If Jonas physically crosses the boundary of the community carrying Gabriel, all the memories Jonas has absorbed will be released back to everyone in the community at once, similar to what happened with Rosemary, but this time on purpose. The giver decides to stay behind to help the community deal with the emotional flood that will follow, while Jonas will escape with Gabriel. At night, Jonas sneaks into the nurturing center, takes Gabriel, steals a motorbike, and rides away from the community and into the forbidden territory beyond its borders. The chief elder quickly discovers what happened and orders Asher and the drone pilots to chase and stop Jonas before he crosses the boundary, since that would mean losing control over the entire community's memories. A tense chase scene follows. Drones sweep through the forest searching for Jonas, and Asher is put in the difficult position of possibly having to harm his best friend. In a key emotional moment, Asher catches up to Jonas and aims his weapon at him, but ultimately can't bring himself to stop his friend, and either misses on purpose or hesitates just long enough for Jonas to escape out of range. Fiona is also seen struggling internally with the situation, torn between the rules she's always followed and her feelings for Jonas. Beyond the drone patrol zone, Jonas continues on foot, carrying Gabriel through a harsh, snowy wilderness. The environment gets colder and more dangerous, and Jonas begins to weaken from hunger, cold, and exhaustion. At one desperate moment, when Gabriel is freezing and close to dying, Jonas uses the memory transferability he inherited to share warm, joyful memories directly with Gabriel, including singing to him, using willpower and love to keep the baby alive, even though he himself is collapsing from exhaustion. Jonas and Gabriel eventually find a sled and slide down a snow-covered hill, mirroring the very first memory of joy that the giver gave Jonas at the start of his training. They finally arrive at a small cabin decorated with lights on what appears to be a Christmas-like celebration, full of color, warmth, music, and family, symbolizing that Jonas has crossed successfully into elsewhere, a place of real human. At the same time, back in the community, we see the released memories spreading through the population, people beginning to experience color, emotion, and connection for the first time, implying that the rigid system of sameness is finally breaking apart, and the community is heading toward major change. The film ends on a hopeful, though intentionally ambiguous, note. We don't see exactly what happens next to Jonas, Gabriel, or the community, but the message is clear, that a life without pain is also a life without memory and true freedom, and that Jonas's choice to sacrifice safety for truth was the right one. To conclude, The Giver is a dystopian story about the cost of a perfect, controlled society. It raises important questions. Is it better to live without pain, but also without real love and freedom? Who has the right to decide what memories, emotions, and choices we're allowed to have? Through Jonas's journey from an obedient teenager to someone willing to risk everything to bring back truth and feeling to his community, the film shows us that our memories, both painful and joyful, are what make us truly human.